Welcome back, everyone. Pursuant to the previous order, the chair declares the committee in recess. Let's start that over. The committee will come back to order, and the chair recognizes Representative Langworthy for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to thank all of our witnesses for being here today to continue driving the artificial intelligence conversation forward. The opportunity that the federal government has to implement AI into its everyday operations, it's potentially exciting for the future of the country and for the modern workforce. However, I would like this subcommittee and all of us to consider the impact of AI and other emerging technologies on our younger generation. While AI has numerous benefits that I'm sure will be discussed here today, it has serious implications on our youth, especially when it comes to generative images and child exploitation. I would be more than happy to work with Chairwoman Mace and the rest of our Oversight Committee to address these concerns. But before we do that, I want to speak about some of the AI frameworks that have been developed. Specifically, the National Institute of Standards and Technology has a well-established track record of developing frameworks and recommendations to improve cybersecurity outcomes in the federal government. Earlier this year, NSIT published a groundbreaking AI risk management framework, which was developed at Congress's direction in an open multi-stakeholder process. Leading companies are already using the NIST AI framework for managing AI risks, just as they use the NIST cybersecurity framework and other NIST cyber recommendations. With that being said, Dr. Probecker, I'd like to ask you whether or not you see the NIST AI framework being taken up by the federal government in the same way that NIST cybersecurity work is being used today, and what steps, if any, that your office is taking to implement the AI framework.
Thank you so much, Representative Langworthy. NIST, I had the great pleasure of leading NIST many decades ago when my hair was still black, and I share your important point about the role that that organization has played in cybersecurity and other important areas. In artificial intelligence, their risk management framework, when they put that out, I think that was one important step in a longer journey to getting to where we can actually have safe and effective AI, whether it's private sector use or public sector use. And as you've seen with industry's adoption of the risk management framework, and it's, I see that approach also starting now to be used within government. What that allows people to do is to know what questions to ask about how to make an AI system safe and effective. And again, depending on the application, the questions will be different and the process that they go through will be different. But that's a starting point. And to me, it is just table stakes to know that you're, if your organization is using that risk management framework, it's table stakes to know that you're actually asking the question. I want to step back, though, and also be clear that we all understand that what we need is a future where AI systems are safe and effective, that they do what you need them to do, that they don't do dangerous things or inappropriate things that you don't want them to do. But I think we should all be very clear that companies, researchers, nobody actually really quite knows how to do that. And so I think NIST's work and the community of the technology community's work that is still ahead is to continue to develop tools and methods so that we can get as good at understanding whether an AI system is safe and effective as we know for physical products or many other areas. And that is some of the work that still remains to be done.
All right. I wanted to follow up and ask about criticism towards the AI blueprint that OSTP has produced, the blueprint that has been criticized for being in conflict with the NSIT framework. Could you address this?
I'd be happy to address this. The AI Bill of Rights focused on our values, which are so important when we're in very choppy times and choppy waters as this technology is moving so fast. And if you go back and look at the Bill of Rights, what it talks about is how important it is to make sure that people aren't discriminated against, but have access to safe systems that are secure. So a lot of the same themes that you'll find in the risk management framework and everything that we've been talking about here today, that's very consistent with the Bill of Rights. That work was developed by OSTP, but working very closely with NIST and others across government, with many, many inputs from private organizations, companies, civil society organizations, academics. And then when NIST built the risk management framework on the heels of that, again, there was a lot of close communication and coordination. And to me, it was part one was values with the Bill of Rights. Part two was the initial steps of how does an organization start grappling with what are the processes that they need to put in place to manage these risks.
Unfortunately, I'm out of time and I yield back, but we'll be following up with some questions in writing.
The gentleman from New York yields, but I'd like to yield my 5 minutes back to Mr. Langworthy.
Well, thank you very much. I also wanted to bring up an executive order issued by the last administration requiring federal agencies to post for public view most of their AI use cases. This is intended to give the public a view into the administration's current and planned use of AI systems. But many of these agency inventories are missing or they're incomplete, according to a Stanford University AI Institute white paper, which was issued last December. Do you agree that the public has a right to know for what purposes AI is being used by the federal agencies, and that it's important for that these inventories are done consistently, completely, and accurately? And will you pledge to work to continue to ensure that that is the case?
Thank you very much, Mr. Langworthy, for that question. I share your focus on the value of those use cases for all the reasons that you mentioned. It's important for the public to know and for across government for people to understand how AI is being used. And there is important progress that we are making and will continue to make as a federal government on those AI use cases. Thank you.
Transparency, I think, is something that we all need to fight for, especially as this emerging technology is coming at us so quickly. I'd want to see if regulatory sandboxes have been part of your conversations. The European Parliament approved its AI Act, which includes a conversation about setting up coordinated AI regulatory sandboxes to foster innovation in artificial intelligence across the EU. Do you see regulatory sandboxes having success in the EU, and whether or not do you think they'll be successful in the United States?
My colleagues may have answers on that, Mr. Langworthy. I don't think I have enough information to give you a complete answer. I will just note that we continue to work with our colleagues and allies in Europe and around the world, simply because AI is happening everywhere and different regions are taking somewhat different approaches. But we're finding that with our like-minded allies, we all share this focus on getting to a safe and effective AI future, and I think there will be some important collaborations that are possible there. I don't know if others have other comments on that topic.
So we think being able to work effectively with AI with our partners and allies is extremely important. So we've been focusing a lot not only on the data sharing and how do we do that effectively according to regulations, but also how do we build models together and evaluate the effectiveness of those models together. And so we have a number of initiatives working through that.